Hey guys, welcome back to my channel. If you're new here, my name is Juliet Kane. Nikona Homa, let's just get that out of the way first. I am a food content creator, but today I am interrupting the food content to bring you guys a story. Sunday at around 4 p.m. we went with Mash East Africa. We paid 4,000, so it's 4,000 for VIP seats and then 3,700 for normal seats. We picked the VIP because we knew we were going to be traveling a lot, so we wanted to be as comfortable as possible. So before I get into the vlog, just a few things. One, why did we go? Angela was visiting family in Rwanda for about a week, and a couple of weeks ago she asked me whether I wanted to go with her. And me, I'm always down to travel, so I agreed on condition that the budget would be very reasonable. So we agreed we would do a budget of around 25 to 35,000 Kenya shillings. And when we checked the flight, a flight from Nairobi, Kenya to Kigali, Rwanda is 32,500 shillings, which was basically the entire budget of the trip. Of course, because we were going to be staying with her family, we didn't have to worry about accommodation and food and like maybe traveling around, like having a tour guide, because we already had family. So you're only thinking of transport and pocket money, and of course if we wanted to do things on our own, we weren't going to keep disturbing them to do those things with us or for us. So that's why we were looking at that budget. But if a flight was 32,500, honestly it was going to be too much of a stretch. So after discussing, we decided that the easiest thing would be to go via road. So we started looking for a bus from Nairobi to Kigali, Rwanda, and unfortunately there are no buses that are plying that route. And we almost cancelled the trip, but then we were like, if we go through Uganda, then we will cut the journey, like we'll cut the journey into two so that it can be easier for us to travel, because also sitting all those hours in a bus is quite hard, and also we would get the chance to visit two countries at the same time, so Uganda and Rwanda. Both of these countries are countries I have never been to. Angie has been to Uganda before, but I haven't, so I was really excited about that prospect. So the next thing we did was, of course, do the research and see whether the accommodation we would use in Uganda and the travel fees for the bus would like make sense. Also, going back to the flight story, you have to remember after the 32,500 for the flight, you have to think about the money for the COVID test and then the transfers from your place to the airport, and then like the plane option was not really an option. So we decided road. And we found a bus from Nairobi to Uganda. And before we left, we did find out that there was an open border called the Mirama Hills border. So that one we knew was open and could let people through. What else? We got our COVID tests, and then we got, of course, our tickets. So I'm going to list a couple of essentials here that if you do want to go to such a trip, you would need these things, because along the way I discovered that these things are very important. So of course you need your COVID vaccine certificate. If you're not vaccinated, go get your certificate. Number two, you need a current COVID PCR test, so the one that is not older than 72 hours. Each country has different specifications, so what you can do as you're planning such a trip, just go to the country's official website, any part that is about immigration, and they probably have a notice board, and you will find all the things that they require up on notice board. So as you're planning the trip, so that you can be updated and current, you can go to those to those websites and check and confirm in case things change or things are a bit different, because I'm speaking about this from like personal experience and this is not like official information. Yeah. Thirdly, you need, of course, your passport. I have the East African passport. It just makes things easier because you're moving within East Africa. You don't really need a visa, so your passport is enough. 4, you need your yellow fever vaccination card. I've had mine since 2020. You just need to do it once, I think. So we started at around quick tip. Make friends with the locals, someone who knows the language. Let them bargain on your behalf. Also, be curious, ask where are we, how can we get here, this is where our destination is, you know, do you know how are things qua ground. So we met this really nice Uber driver called Bantu, and he really helped us. Honestly, I don't think we'd have made it to Rwanda, albeit 2 days later than we had planned at that time, if we didn't meet him, because he helped us navigate the whole way. So on our way to the hotel that we eventually spent the night in, for the hotel I got it in booking.com. I just checked quickly when we were there, anything that was really close to us. So it was about 12 to 15 minutes to that place. Anyway, we get an Uber on the Uber app and we meet this guy called Bantu, and as we are talking, he asks us where we are going or what we are doing in Uganda, and we explain to him that we want to go to Rwanda. So he confirms to us that the Mirama Hills border is open as we had planned, but the way we had decided we are going to take, so he explained to us that the cars stop a lot along the way. So he gave us a route where we were going to go from Kampala to Mbarara, and from Mbarara to Nyagatare, and from Nyagatare we were going to go to the Mirama Hills border, and then from there we were going to cross over to Rwanda. Hi guys, so we just left Kampala and we are going to, what's the name? Bye Baba. And then from there we'll go to Kabale. Yeah, Kabale. And then we'll go to the border of Rwanda. And then we'll go to Kigali. So we are I want to sing this
Scream at me, maybe when you put your hands on me.
Sounds like a tail.
Let me give you a quick update about what is going on. This was supposed to be a food vlog, but it ended up being so dramatic. So the plan was to cross Uganda and come to the Mirama border and then cross the border into Rwanda. So we got here last night at like 7 p.m. We were told they were closing at 8:30, but they closed at 7. So we got there and they were like, do you have permission from the Rwandese commission in Nairobi to come into Rwanda? And they're like, huh? We have like the visa and the passport. They're like, you need express permission to get into our country. Period. Hey? So this is where I spent the night. It was too late yesterday for me to really do anything. It has a bathroom, toilet. Hi. Yes, and this is Angie's stuff. This is my stuff. So this guy is like, first of all, the Rwandese commissioner person is not around. Only the Ugandan was there, and he was like, you need permission even if you come back to hey guys, I'm telling them yeah, we were rejected from getting into Rwanda yesterday. So Andrew says it's beautiful outside, so we are going to see outside, and I'll tell you the story later when I'm more relaxed. So hopefully today we are trying to get into Rwanda. If they refuse, then we'll find a way. We are going. We are going. This is the place you are rejecting. No need to find it. Know what the time is. You know how I want it. No need for talking. You hit the target from when you walked in. It's crazy, 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 crazy. For breakfast, we had katogo, which is basically matoke with matumbo and meat pieces. The thing about this matumbo, it was so tender, and then it was kind of wrapped in like the small intestines. And this was so flavorful. This was one of my favorite meals in Uganda. And this breakfast really served us because we didn't end up eating until like 10 p.m. So this breakfast really came through for us. The matumbo is kind of wrapped, but it's really tender. Like super tender. So we are back at the immigration office. We're trying to get to Rwanda, but they've refused because we are poor. Anyway, no, not because we're poor. The whole day we were like, we're so glad we didn't fly.
And that's the only option to get to Rwanda.
Flying is the SI unit of getting in. So it's either we fly or we seek permission to be allowed in through a letter. So we've just done the letter and we are waiting for permission. Yeah. So I don't know. Hopefully the next time we do this will be in Rwanda.
It is what it is.
It is what it is. We have been allowed. We're going to Rwanda. They've allowed us because we're cute.
Because we prayed. So as mentioned in the videos earlier, we got there at night and we had to come in the morning when the immigration officers were around. So we get there and they explained to us that we needed express permission from Rwanda immigration to get into Rwanda. So before we left Nairobi, we ought to have gotten that permission, either via email or via letter or via going personally to the offices in Nairobi, but we didn't have that. Here we were at the border 3 days since we left Kenya, so she advised us to write an email. So we wrote an email, we attached our passports, we did all that, and we just crossed our fingers and hoped that they would get to it early enough. So at that point we kind of resolved that if it didn't work out on that day, we would at least give it till the next morning, and if it didn't work out, we would have to find our way back to Kampala and maybe fly, the thing we didn't want in the first place. But we still had faith. Honestly, we felt like the officers were really forthcoming and they were very helpful, and we just felt like we were in a place where we would get help. It just had the aura of we are going to be helped here, because they are very concerned. How's it going? Have we sent? Have they responded? But honestly, I would advise you, please don't go through all that hassle. Before you leave Kenya, make sure that you have all the permits. Again, check the website, just like write Rwanda immigration, Uganda immigration, and make sure you have all those things before you leave. That's something we didn't do, and it's something we regretted heavily, and that is one of the lessons that I took out of this trip. Anyway, so eventually we had started at around 9 a.m. Eventually at around 1 p.m. they let us in, we got the permission, and we walked into Rwanda. Angie's mad that we've been here all day. We haven't. Me, I'm excited. I feel like my adrenaline is rushing. So we crossed the border at, it was like 12:30 at 12:30. Now it's like 5:30. We had problems with COVID, testing, quarantine. We have to go for quarantine for 1 day.
You're being naive.
It doesn't make sense. Me, or the situation has been worse.
Yeah.
Or the situation has been shit. Has it though? Has it? We got a really nice doctor.
So nice.
He's so nice. And like, it's been frustrating, especially on this one. So we finally get into Rwanda. We ended up spending a lot of time at the COVID protocols, but these are the simple protocols of getting in. They'll ask you for your COVID vaccine certificate, and then you get a rapid test. And if you have your vaccine certificate and the rapid test, that's it, you're allowed to go in. It's done. In case you don't have the certificate, you have to do a PCR test, and then you have to wait for the results. And the PCR test is $50. That's like 5,000 Kenya shillings. That's 5G. That's a lot of money, considering the vaccine is just free. And then after that, you also get a rapid test, and then you have to quarantine until the results are out the next day. So that is an additional cost. So unfortunately, we didn't have our certificates at hand, so we ended up going through the second process. So we paid the $50 for a PCR test, and then we were quarantined at a government recommended facility. So they provided transport for us. They also gave us dinner and a breakfast the next day. And then the place was okay. We ended up paying around 18,000 Rwandese franc total. So that's about, I want to say, let's say 2,000 shillings per person. Green, again, shameless plug. There is a blog post down below that has all those details written down in case you need to read or you need to save this for a later date. So we ended up paying 18,000 for transport, breakfast, dinner, and a place to sleep. That was okay. And it's at a town called Nyagatare that's about 100 kilometers from the border. Now guys, before we end this video and get into my experience in Rwanda in the next part, because I feel like this is already maybe 20 minutes, so we'll do a part 2. But if you're a Kenyan going to Rwanda, let me just tell you, the first culture shock that hit me was the speed limit. So in Kenya we move like lunatics. You know, if there is no sign for do not speed, you're going to speed. And even if there's a sign, you're going to speed either way. But in Rwanda, they move like very calmly and not chaotic and slow. The speed limit is like between 60 and 80 kilometers per hour, and then also it's on the other side of the road. It's like on the right, it's a right-sided vehicle and road. So that was the first culture shock that hit me, because as we are being moved from the border to Nyagatare, I'm just looking at Angela and I'm like, is there a car in front of us or what's going on? But then the next day we find out that that's just the speed limit there, and it's just less chaotic. And honestly, by day 3 I was used to it. I was like, I would like to drive on such a road where I don't have to worry too much about this matatu driver coming and passing with my side mirror. But that is something that really threw me off, and I thought I should just mention it. I hope you enjoyed that first part, and I'll see you guys tomorrow with part 2 of my trip around East Africa. Bye bye.